This is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, with Erolai, Kreese, and Mark, bringing you all your DissidiaFFOO news and talk. Welcome to Season 4, the LGBT era. Now let's start the show.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 148 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded this tax day, although I guess it was extended, April 15, 2021. I am Mark, one of your wonderful hosts, and I am joined by my co-host. First is Arrow. Arrow, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. It's been a very, very good week for me. I have so much good I could talk about, but that is not for here. Maybe for later we'll talk about it. Passing it back to you.
And we're also joined by Kreese. Kreese, how are you?
I have a little bit of a cold, so I could be doing better, but I'm doing fine, all things considered. Looks like we got a little bit of a surprise on our hands, but we'll talk about that soon, I'm sure.
We will talk about that.
Are you ready to talk about that, Mark? Or
yeah, well, let me do a couple things, and then we'll talk about the breaking news. Breaking news, TCC breaking news. First, we don't have a guest tonight, so it's just us. That's nice. But the HaateXIII may ask a very important question: how many more pities or how many more subs for Mark to PoteauCedar LD? We are at 16. I thought it was 15.
So 34.
Yes, so 34 more subs. If we get 50 subs by next week when Waka's banner launches, I will pity Waka, whom I hate, with a passion. And then use him in content, I guess, at least one time. So we are at 16 out of 50. So if you want to make me suffer, feel free. If not, I'm going to skip Waka because I don't care. But Arrow's going to pull him, so we'll learn all kinds of things about him. But we got some news. And no, it's not Y'shtola and Kuja have their costumes. Of course they do. SERAH, it has just been announced. Of course, we were assuming she was going to get her LD on a surprise banner. Looks like tonight here in just a couple minutes as we go live. But she did get a LD with some modifications from her original. So she did not get a rework on her skills, but she does get a rework. This is not. It's a little confusing. She has a rework. She has an an LD. She will have LD boards that are different than she would have gotten at JP at this time. Let me put it that way. I believe that is
similar to what happens with Eldnarsh for us.
Yes, that would be an appropriate comparison. So Eldnarsh got a little bit more on his LDs than the Japanese version of the game got, and it looks like SERAH is also going to get a little bit more on her LD. So Tonberry Troupe and all of those should you pulls are no longer valid. So I was kind of waiting for that. Inkwelder from the Tonberry Troupe, TonberryTroupe.com, was really thinking that SERAH was going to get a little bit something, but they did post the infographic anyway, and all the people put out their should you pulls, and so those are complete garbage and not right at all whatsoever. So this means SERAH is a little different. Now she doesn't get a rework to her kit, so there's some problems obviously. And we'll have to spend some more time. So we'll talk about her briefly tonight, but we're not going to have good information. So you're really going to have to see, and we're going to have to learn, just like all these characters that we get for the first time. Balthier, Vincent, we're going to need some time to see how she really shines. But you can go to DissidiaFFOO at Twitter, at DissidiaFFOO, with LD boards at wave start. 5 turns attack down, max brave down, poison on all foes, so she starts with her debuffs, and added effects to Tears of Hope, which would be Tears of Hope is her LD buff, I believe. Yeah, Tears of Hope is her LD buff. Before, or at least what Japan got in this time, Tears of Hope did Brave Regen 20%, max brave, Allies Brave Regen 10%, and Party Overflow 20%. Not very exciting. Now, Tears of Hope, Self Brave Regen 50%, Allies Brave regen 30% of their max Brave. Overflow still 20%. When party has 6
Enemy
or
party
more,
has 6
when enemy
debuffs.
party has 6 or more debuffs, party Brave damage up 30%, party HP damage up 20%. So again, a little bit more similar to what things that like Belthier has. So she's going to be much more usable. That is safe to say. She is not going to be completely skippable. I don't think she's going to be looking at this completely broken or anything else, but she's going to be usable. So, yeah, we'll spend
As
some more
long as
time
you're
with
not
that.
facing a single target boss, yeah, the debuffs will be pretty manageable.
Yeah, so we'll spend some time on that, and again, maybe we'll talk about that moving forward next week after we get a little bit of hands-on experience. We'll probably pull here tonight as well, throw some tickets on that. So
I get the feeling we'll have some people who will want to talk about this either when we get to Sarah, we'll pull them on, or we'll talk about it during the post show too.
yeah, and I know
we have some chatter going on in one of our channels.
Oh, yes. That's good if you're paying attention to that. But we do have some, Inkwelder is a big SERAH fan. We have some other people who are big SERAH fans in our group, so I'm sure. I think J.A is a big SERAH fan, right? So there's a lot, and we did thank you to Squex Joshua for reminding us. So
Thank you, Joshua, for letting us know that this dropped.
yes. So so very exciting. It would have been easy to say skip SERAH if she did not get anything, but because J.A doesn't pull anything ever, I thought that's true, except when a character that he really likes does come about, he does. And I think he was planning to pity anyway, regardless. If I look at the podcast polls, because he sets the podcast polls up for us.
Jin Lee was planning to pity.
Oh, yeah, Jin Lee's a big SERAH fan as well. As look and see, Jin Lee.
I do not see J.A on the pity list,
yeah,
but he hasn't.
Lily,
he didn't vote yet.
No, yeah, he hadn't voted yet. So
I actually need to change mine from skip to ticket now.
Yeah, I'm gonna ticket as well.
I don't know. I never really used SERAH before, guys. I gotta be real. I never really.
Why are people so excited for SERAH? Because she got stuff we weren't expecting. That's why. She's getting a little bit
overflowing on tickets. I was considering throwing some tickets at her, and now the tweaks make it much more compelling to throw tickets at this banner.
Yeah, Jin. I don't know if Jin is around right now. Sometimes he's elsewhere on these nights. So yeah, I don't know. But there's probably going to be a lot of other people talking about it. So. Yeah, as you read through that, Arrow, what are your kind of thoughts? I know you don't have a lot of experience with SERAH beforehand, but any thoughts to what you should read here?
Ooh, if you like Turnstealers, SERAH's an amazing aura bot now, and like look guys, that whole 6 debuff thing is not even a big deal because most bosses it's like 2 bosses. And you just got to put 3 debuffs. But then we're talking like you get into that last 20-30% where we all summon and we just go ham. She's going to be great in that part of the fight. And the thing is, though, she is kind of fast. You are going to want to remove some of the, I guess, the high turn rate stuff she has. I think she has a couple passes you can remove for that. Otherwise, yeah, she just improved into a pretty good aura bot. Despite the lack of hits, who cares? You're going to spam her with somebody who can take lots and lots of turns for you. That's my thoughts. Passing it back to you, Mark.
Yeah, remember, she does have a pretty good attack up, but that is also based on a generic attack buff that she gives to the party. So that's, she does have a generic attack buff and a generic and brave buff. The attack one is a lot more powerful. And she does have 4 debuff slots. So, I mean, these are all things to consider when you're building a team around her. But I mean, in a lot of ways, yeah, she can kind of throw on a party in the same way that Belthier can throw on, throw in a party as a 3rd slot kind of character. So
poison effects are nothing to scoff at either.
Yeah, significant poison effects too. I mean, she's doing 2 90% eye brave poisons one with her frame debuff, one with her other debuff. So that is significant. And she has a decent defense down, a decent membrave down, and a decent attack down debuff on that. So, 6 debuffs total on the enemy party, not on one target. So 3 per, if there's 2 enemies, 3 per enemy, as Joshua clarified above as well. So,
We'll see. This is a lot of excitement. We'll need some time to experiment with and see how people feel about it after a couple days, too.
I mean, the party brave damage up 30% and the party HP damage up with her overflow and the brave regen. I mean, she's bringing a lot to the table now with her LD boards. So, I mean, again, we're going to have to wait to see practically how she works. But again, people have gotten a lot of use out of Belthier. People have gotten a ridiculous amount of use out of Vincent. Eldnarsh, not so much, but Mino has gotten Eldnarsh through pretty much everything. And so, that terror debuff can't be played down. It's still pretty good. And Mino, did you have any thoughts as Mino jumped in on SERAH? We just got the LD boards.
I thought you guys were going to cover it later, but from a glance, you can tell this is already pretty significant. Besides Pestle and Balthier, an early character, these are the only sources of Brave and HP damage up again. Balthier's 2020, right? So SERAH is now higher than that. Plus, don't forget that besides RCL's bugged attack up and Garnet's, SERAH is naturally the highest attack buffer.
Yeah, at 110,
Right, so a lot of people have been running RCL and Arrow as well on Transcendence because her auras are so broken right now. We don't know if it's intentional, but it's like 120 attack, 135 max brave. SERAH gives comparable to that, 110 attack, and I need to check. I think it was like 95% M brave. But now, so like because RCL was bugged, SERAH was already behind. But now with the 30% brave damage up and 20% HP, right? Hold on, let me take a look at these stats again.
Belthier,
and don't forget about the brave regen.
Belthier is 20%, 20%.
It's really, really, really significant. As in, like, we already made a big deal about Balthier, and people have been bringing Balthier to every fight because of brave and HP damage up auras. We cannot forget that. SERAH got bigger brave and HP damage auras on top of her already insane buffs. Balthier only got whatever he got on his LD, which is like 50% here and there, and then the auras, and people have been bringing him to every fight.
And SERAH, and SERAH is getting brave regen, and she's giving party overflow as well. So party brave regen and party overflow, and the debuffs. Belthier cleanses. Belthier has his use because he cleanses and he dispels, which is obviously when you need that, you really need it. She's providing some debuffs and some additional help with that. So I mean, the 40% defense down, even if you and obviously the poisons too, but attack brave down. I mean, she's not going to play well with potentially other debuffers, which is a problem everybody else and their mom has. So I mean, that's just kind of par for the course. But
J-Dot is saying no base kit rework though. I mean, a lot of these characters, it's like Vincent, right? Like people make Vincent work because the stats go up with the LD boards and the LD itself. Her stats are going to be competitive, and that's all you really need. Again, there are characters people bring purely for the auras. People are bringing, we're talking about bringing Pestle through Holy Absorb purely for the auras. And SERAH has stronger auras. Well, no, Pestle's is stronger, but his is more conditional. And there's the absorbs in there as well.
But let's break this down a second. So there's going to be a lot of talk about, and I haven't watched any of the Should You polls, which now are worthless. That's one of the reasons I didn't watch any of them, because I was kind of with Inkwelder. So her skill 1 and skill 2 only do two hits, brave hits. Mm-hmm. But again, think about the fact that, everybody and their mom is using Aerith, right? And even I kind of downplayed Aerith, and she's really quite good. Because she's a good aura bot, she's doing a couple things. You're HP +++ing with Aerith the entire time. and no one's complaining
Brave
about her
Plus.
damage, right? I mean, and Brave Plus, right? No one's complaining about her damage and her Brave hits. She's not a Brave shaver. That's not her role. She's battering the party. Guess what Sarah does? She batteries the party. She provides all these auras. So to say a character's garbage because their base skills don't do anything, you don't even use Eris skills. It's so weird to have
the first heals when you need it.
Well, and the resurrection. Because I used that. I used all of her skill 2s in this last fight. Poor Squall died so many times. So Squex Joshua's in chat with us, and thank you for regular podcast listeners. This is a little out of the craziness, but that's okay. Squex Joshua says, by the way, combining her Brave damage and HP damage can be thought of as 56% damage increase to her Brave plus HP attacks.
I'm not sold on that math because not everyone does Brave damage.
First of all, it's from 0 Brave. Like, if you have 0 Brave, you will do 1.56 times more damage. We've discussed this extensively in TCC because I believe Joshua said the same thing about Balthier's damage, and he did math on that. But it's a good statistic. I don't like to ride it because that's not a realistic condition. You're always going to be running batteries.
That's good.
You're always looking at You're always looking at
He corrected. It's up to 56%.
Yeah, up to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, yeah. So up to 56%. So Josh, yeah, we'll take that. But I'm saying, like, depending on team comp, because this game has so many variables, depending on what you're running, if you're running really fat battery teams, then, like, if you're running Aerith and Arciela like I am right now with a third, you're always going to be capped at Brave, so that's not going to help. Oh, it's not going to realistically be that big of a boost. Either way, though, just comparing it to the compatriots, again, Brave and HP damage up is not common until a bit later. Still about 2 months in before everyone starts getting it. And a lot of people get it just personally, right? Like Arciela and Terra, etc. A lot of them just get it for themselves. So that alone is worth the inclusion. Her natural buffs and auras are worth the inclusion. And the poisons... the poison sap and regen is big because they're all Embrave based. So very, very, like, she doesn't need anything. She's gonna be a better aura bot than Balthier. Like as much as this might piss off Balthier fans, look, Balthier was a solid character, but unless you're cleansing or looking for pure Brave shave, I don't think there really is a reason to bring Balthier over SERAH now, unless it's a very specific, like, in a vacuum. SERAH will be a better inclusion. With Pestle still has the better auras, but not every player can run him through the 2 months of Holy Absorb we're getting.
Right.
And SERAH is a much better alternative that many more people will probably gravitate towards. Because we've already seen some people using Balthier over Pestle for Holy Absorb content, and SERAH's even better at that. So, I mean, like, I think you can already say this is a really big upgrade.
Thank you, HaateXIII, for the subscription. Yeah, I mean, the base takeaway is, if you were a SERAH fan and if you liked SERAH's kit before, you were going to be disappointed because she wasn't getting a lot with her LD. Now she's getting something, and it looks like quite a bit more than we were anticipating. So there's potential for her to be considerably more usable than she was. Again, does that mean... she's going to be this broken character and she's going to carry you for 6 weeks, for 3 months. Who knows? She's not going to be trash. Sniper2 says she's not going to be trash. And I think that's safe. She was going to be trash if she had been released the exact same way she would have been in JP. Yes, she would have been trash. She would have been an easy skip. Now I think it's something we stop. We consider. We see how she plays. Some people were talking about, again, it's going to be hard to judge her damage until you start getting the team comps together. And again, we misjudged Vincent, very truthfully, right? We didn't really take into consideration what a lot of those debuffs really did, or how his follow-up attack was particularly useful. So, but yeah, Zerilius is saying, yeah, Sarah was never a primary damage dealer, but she is providing a lot to the party, just like some other good characters that we've been fitting into teams, so that are not our primary damage dealer. So
yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Just remember that she still has the cursed artifacts, so if you never farm them, you're gonna have to farm them now.
Yeah, let's look for a second.
It's easier now than it was when she first got those cursed artifacts.
There shouldn't be anything that changes her still wanting the double cursed. So she still wants 3 debuff attack boosts. She still wants 3 charged moonlights, because that deals with her max brave, and her max brave is what her regen's based on. Band-Aid big ass auras. This is Neck Lord. Band-Aid big ass auras are better than Band-Aid follow-up attacks.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Yeah. I want to address all the quote unquote hot takes in chat. I'll let you finish, but they're flying out right now.
No, please go ahead, Mino.
Oh, okay. So Raw Life's in chat saying, hey, we shouldn't be number crunching. We shouldn't be trying to analyze this. Like, we need to wait and see how it performs before we decide if it's worth pulling or not. Here's the thing, Raw Life. Somebody has to pull and run that before other people know it's worth pulling to run at. And we do have some pretty good analysts in the community. And here's a different situation. The thing is, Balthier and Vincent changed roles with their LD, because they didn't get their accompanying rework. What that means is Balthier went from, I guess, slightly DPS to an Aura bot now. Vincent went from debuffer to damage, because anyone actually using Vincent in these Lufenias know you're bringing him for his damage, not his debuffs. His debuffs are a nice bonus, but it's the follow-up that really, really matters, and the imperil. SERAH is maintaining her role, and whereas those units, it was harder to see how they would function in their new role, it's a lot easier to see the value of what SERAH is getting, because it's just adding on to her already good kit. Any veteran knows that with SERAH's tuning passage, she was always one of the strongest aura bots in the game, period. EX plus era, EX era, like 35 CP era.
No doubt.
Every time SERAH got a tuning pass, because her auras are that broken. Again, if you go to the Tonberry Troupe page and you sort by how much each person buffs by, and you ignore the broken Arciella Hope and Garnet, SERAH is ahead by far. So far ahead. Like, it's ridiculous. And then, there's Inkwelder's stupid SERAH saga. But what were you going to say, Kreese? Or Arrow?
No, I was just agreeing with you. SERAH has consistently been very powerful in this game. And this LD board rework is giving her another chance to shine, is what it looks like. It's not a role flip like other LD, like the early LD releases have been. It's just making her more of the same, just better.
Yeah, I think that's fair, right? She's not drastically changing. Her playstyle is going to be exactly the same if you're used to playing her, but she's bringing more to the party than she would have even with her LD release in Japan. So yeah,
she's also not getting brand new mechanics, guys.
Right.
Okay, Vincent and Balthier got brand new mechanics. Right. Balthier got brave and HP damage up when GL never had it, and people didn't know how to account for it. Okay, and then Vincent got the fat follow-ups, the non-elemental follow-ups that, again, GL doesn't have, so we couldn't account for it. SERAH is getting a known quantity of brave damage up and HP damage up, and 30% max brave regen isn't exactly hard to theory craft around either.
No, right.
And so it's like these are known quantities. Yeah. We already know she's good, and then we know these things are good. We know they're going to be good on her. Okay, and then I just also want to say I just think the whole wait and see how other people do with her to pull is because somebody has to be on that front line, and it's going to be the content creators like Jin Lee and Ink, and we're the ones here crunching the numbers and talking about it. It's not like, hey, let's all us content creators sit back and wait for somebody else to tell us if this is any good.
And this is literally the DissidiaFFOO talk show. So this is the exact place where we will come up with hot takes and this is what we do. We come up with it, but I mean, it looks good for her, right? So
it looks really promising
for her. Out, guys, that I just was thinking about. So she has those regions, and guys, I got to tell you, as somebody who mains Furion really hard, those regions are great, and it doesn't matter that her hit count is a little. Well, it's extremely low because a lot of it is going to come from that region. She's not going to be a Brave Shaver. She never really was a Brave Shaver to begin with. And her damage is really going to come from those regions. And I think she batteries on Moonlight, right? I mean, she's going to be pretty good, I think, like in theory.
She batteries on Wound and on Moonlight.
Yeah, okay, so there you go. So she batteries on her own skills. So and now she's, you can increase those battery numbers even more with other regions and things.
Right, and it's based on damage. So
even though she's not a Brave Shaver, it's kind of like the whole Kieran thing. You're battering yourself all the time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're absorbed. It doesn't matter if you're doing once. You're still going to do lots of damage just purely off your self batteries that you do before you even unleash the first Brave hit. So it's kind of like that to me. And that's what it really reminds me of.
Yeah, she's got really the double poison, right? So she's Brave Shaving with the poison potentially. Yeah, that's not to be discounted because it's significant. Eye Brave, 90% Eye Brave poison in 2 of them, and battery overflow, right? So, are her I'm just looking at the Tonberry Troupe infographic. Her Unshaken Will is 20% attack. Yeah, 90. It's 70 with the. I'm trying to think here because the numbers aren't adding up to me. If you have 3 cursed arts, is it party attack plus 10 per each cursed art?
Yeah, it's plus 10 per cursed art, 20 from Unshaken Will.
So it should be 120 attack, not 110, right? Or maybe it's 110 without. It's 110% without the cursed arts, so 140.
No, it's including artifacts.
Come on, Ink. So someone do the math. Where's Dreamy?
Not the math person in this group. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking at the math myself. No. Unshaken Will, the attack and max brave are only for her.
Thank you.
So it's 70 attack plus the 40.
There we go.
Or plus 30, and there's another 10 she gets from somewhere else.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, from one of her passives. Yes.
Yeah.
So the 20% with Unshaken Will is just for herself. All right. That's not party. Yep.
Yeah.
Party defense and speed. That's where she gives the party speed buff, which is nice. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, that's exciting. Thank you, Squix Joshua, for coming in here and letting us know about that. We'll talk about things that are more disappointing than that today, but.
One more thing, Mark, and then I'll let you guys get back to your show. Is I know Josh was listening last time, I think, when we were talking about Vincent, and I know we went on a little rant there, or when I say we, I should say me, about how like there's no reason not to make these bonuses stronger, or at least I said with Vincent's case, make it like obviously strong. Because we're saying like Vincent turned out strong, but it was not apparent or easy to use for a lot of people. Whereas Balthier was. You slap some auras on him, you put him in any party. And so this is an example of something that's just very apparently strong. You're just adding more here, and it's not overly difficult to use. Because as much as people will defend Vincent, and I used Vincent quite a bit too, I'll admit. And I do think he's a strong character. And I argue with Macnell and Jinley about this every fucking week. And it's that he's still not accessible to most of the player base.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know Josh knows this because people talked about how they didn't know how to use Aranea when she first came out in GL. We all saw those Facebook posts as well. So Vincent was very hard to utilize, and there were a lot of people who gave up on him in the TCC Discord, the more casual players who couldn't use him in Lufenia. So this is a much better step. I really want to praise the direction of just making them obviously strong and easy to use if you're going to go for hype. And a lot of people are just going to pull now, who change their plans. A lot of people are going to change their plans tonight.
And she should be. She should be much. I mean, she should be easier to play than Vivi. She should be easier to play than even Beltier. She should be easier to play than Vincent by far. I mean, again, yeah, she's her job is to do what she does, which is sit there and boost the party. So, for people who are looking for somebody to do that, she is probably going to be a great option. But John Belmont says, bold of you to assume I planned my polls. Yeah, no, that's the majority of folks.
Right.
Not doing that.
And as Mark said this morning, it's hilarious now for all the SERAH should you polls.
Oh,
who,
yeah.
Race to get that out early and all have faulty information now.
I said that to Inkwelder before I knew that he was. They were sharing the infographic too. So Dreamy is frantically putting together an updated infographic. I'm sure. So you'll have to check that out. Tonberry Troupe, but obviously, wait. There are people like us who are going to pull for SERAH and use her. I mean, there are people who are already in our group who are already going to pity SERAH, so they'll have a good sense of what she's like. We'll talk about her in detail with practice, so you can wait. But you're probably not going to wait. You're going to pull. It's something unknown, and GL doesn't do good when things are unknown, so you just pull anyway. So just pull. You'll probably not be disappointed, right? I mean, all of the GL firsts have been fine, and there's been no problem with them, and they've all been very useful. And actually, I mean, Vivi murders this thing we're going to talk about in a minute. And you wouldn't even thought to bring them out. But yeah, you forget, these characters were not tuned for any of this stuff. And so why not? When in doubt, Hezimar, when in doubt, pull. That's the real thing tonight. If you're not sure what to do, get mom's credit card out and go to town. No, I'm joking. Kids, certainly don't use your parents' credit card without permission. Be responsible. Gamble responsibly. I hear a lot. I listen to sports radio, so I hear a lot of those PSAs. Gamble responsibly. If you have a gambling problem, and then it's like 17 commercials for sports betting apps. Does SERAH fit into Mark's GL first? Well, yeah, she's not really technically a GL first LD. She's a GL early LD board, I guess, rework. So I'm not really sure. It's a GL first. This is Joshua. This is official language now. This is Squeck's official GL first LD board rework. So I don't have a formula for that. I'm going to pull. That's, I was not planning to. Everybody gets a free pull, so use your free pull. Use your tickets, and I'm going to throw some tickets on there.
I'll jam it, and it's going to hurt my stash so bad.
Yeah,
so I always get caught in these.
Yeah, J.A and Mino and Strafe. Feel bad for the feel bad for the millionaires who are going to gem SERAH, and they'll test it out for you and let you know. So good job, Squex Joshua. Get these lazy millionaires off their butts and spending their gems. That's what you should have been doing. That's the kind of thing we need. It's a tough life. Spend those gems. Thank you, Mino. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it. Hey, I was going to talk about defo downtime. But we had something to fill the time with. So we just talked about 30 minutes about SERAH, which is a lot more exciting than playing Disgaea or Final Fantasy VIII Remaster on my phone, or Kreese being sick, or Arrow buying books at Goodwill, which were things we were probably going to talk about. But we don't have to now because we had much more fun defo-related things to talk about. Excellent. So let's talk about the one event we do have to talk about with the characters we do have to talk about. Terrible. Is that it? Terrible? Did I write that correctly? Terrible mechanical tentacles? Okay. So let's talk about terrible mechanical tentacles, the steampunks. I think that's how I referred to them on my last poll video. The steam counts. They're not the steampunks. But I like saying steampunks like it's this insult. And Kuja came back with his level 80 and LD boards, and Y'shtola came back with her level 80 and LD boards, and LD and BT I guess she didn't have an LD to have LD boards. So, Kreese, can you take us through what Kuja got? Because it's not going to take very long.
Sure. His LD ability is stronger now, and it now increases Stolen Brave Overflow a little bit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So, we had a newer player, talking about they picked up Kuja's LD on a free poll. Should I invest in Kuja? Obviously, if Kuja is a favorite, invest in Kuja. Kuja's one of my 20 favorite characters in the game. I love Kuja. He's one of my favorite villains. I've used Kuja at every iteration of the game. He's fine. I wouldn't pull for him. He didn't get a whole bunch.
Still an okay character.
Yep, he's doing fine. You can use him in this kind of content. He's going to be outdamaged by a lot of other AoE characters. He's going to be outdamaged by Squall. He's going to be outdamaged by Emperor. He's tied to Holy. That can be good or bad, obviously. It's going to be less of an issue moving forward. He can farm boards. But we're at a point with Auto Plus you don't need to pull for board farmers. But he's really great in this co-op. But yeah, you shouldn't be chasing Kuja. I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
He got a little boost, so you can continue to use him a little bit more. He does farm boards and farm co-op really, really easily. You can get these 5 co-ops in 15 minutes. No problem with Kuja. Even if you got 2 bum Y'shtolas, one Kuja can deal with this co-op. No problem. And that's awesome. But he didn't get anything to write home about, just a little buff. And that's all. Arrow, and you don't have Kuja. You don't use Kuja, right? So
Arrow does have Kuja.
Oh, you do. That's right. You did.
I totally have his BT. I got it on a pool like ages ago when it first released, even. And I actually got his BT before I got LD, so that was really funny too. Okay, so the main thing, the boards are kind of hilariously silly, bad, but it doesn't matter because the LD is really good anyway. The more important thing to me is he got level 80, guys. That
yes.
means call access.
Yes, his call. Yeah.
Yes, and then his calls are actually pretty good. That skill 1 can do that framed Holy Imperil, and I think it has an extra debuff. Isn't it like a speed down
speed
debuff?
Down, yeah.
That's pretty good. Okay, so if you're into speed down stacking, hey, you got another bonus now to somebody, and you can stack that with Machina. Yay! Okay.
Raw Life said that guy who was not going to pull for Kuja is going to pull for Kuja. So good luck. Yeah. Hopefully he didn't have to pity the EX because don't chase EXs. Don't chase EXs.
He really could use that character based on his roster. So he's not really supposed to be your main damage dealer, guys. Kuja is an enabler. That should be noted with the Unity armor he was given. Yeah. So he's an enchant and peril.
Yeah, he does great auras. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he has pretty good auras for an enchanter. Very nice. Yeah. Easy to stack enchants with. Guys, we have Theodore and Paladin Cecil, who also, self-enchant or, party enchant, depending on who you're talking about here. And those stack. So that's nice. And then on top of that, the burst effect does another holy enchant stack. So that's cool.
Yep.
If you are newer and you are wanting to make your summon board grinding extremely easy going forward, you've got a ton of content to still clear, Kuja is going to make it so easy for you. And I am somebody who actually used Kuja in Transcendence Stage 1 before these boards came out. And gosh golly, I could tell you right now, it would have been a lot easier if I had access to calls. So, and a little bit of extra damage because getting that 65 turn clear was very, very tricky. But this makes it a little bit easier now. So if you have not beaten Transcendence 1 and you happen to have pulled this kit or are thinking about pulling this kit, there's a good reason to consider it. And that's going for newer or veteran players on that.
Pikachu Games, who's a new player, I don't know if you're familiar with Pikachu, is asking how enchant stacking works and if there are videos on the topic. No, they're not.
The only one I know of is one from
They're not Pikachu.
I think it's from Faye and Safina. I'll have to pull it up.
Safina does have a good video on that.
Yes, she does have a great
video. I'm thinking Pikachu might have some videos on that as well. If you want to check that. I would not encourage anyone, a new player, to pull on Kuja for summon boards. If you're a brand new player, pull on the triple LDBT banner, get Cloud LD, Squall LD, and Lightning LD. With Auto Plus, it doesn't matter. Squall can Auto Plus the summon boards just as easy as Kuja can. You don't have to press the button, so who cares what, 3 extra seconds. I would not encourage anyone to pull for Kuja on this particular banner. If you already have Kuja, great. That's what these upgrades are for. If you already have the character, great. Or you're a brand new player and he's absolutely a favorite character. Even then, I'd probably wait till the next run. But Tonberry Troupe had that had it ready to go. I'm sure Dreamy was just sitting by his computer, waiting for the upgrade. Good work.
Wait, is a new
Tonberry
already on the Tonberry Troupe website?
With a different
it is already on the website.
Inkwelder was waiting for this. It's got even different art. So they were waiting for that. So
it does have different art.
Better art. Very
I don't know.
nice.
I like the art on the
I like the other art too. Yeah, it's good. The big question, I think the big question we all need to, who cares about Kuja? Why are we talking about Kuja? The big question we need to answer is she going to get a costume? Because I guarantee she's going to get a costume, and I'm going to buy it. Because all Sarah's costumes are awesome.
I think they just banked this out in the last hour, Mark.
I think they did it just in a couple minutes.
Is my mic still on?
Yeah, you're still here.
Okay. Ink prepared 2 formats in preparation for the rework. He had this format ready to go. He just had to fill in the info, and all he did was, take the text from the tweet. So he was preparing for this from like a week ago.
Yeah. He is
so he knew it was probably coming.
He is a over prepare. I think he's a doomsday prepper. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's a hot take.
He's a filthy hoarder. You've seen his power stones and
He is a hoarder, so he's probably got a bunker with 6 months of water and canned food and enough. He lives in kind of down south, so he's probably got some guns.
Hoarding is a disease, and Inkwelder, you disgust me. I know you're gonna listen to this later.
All hoarders are doomsday preppers. So yeah, Kuja's great. Kuja's whatever. Don't pull on him. He's he just got a tuning pass. Speaking of characters you shouldn't pull on, Y'shtola got a rework, level 80 and an LGBT. Kreese, and we all have some experience with Y'shtola. So, Kreese, what did Y'shtola get? She got a whole bunch of stuff.
I love Y'shtola.
She's great. She's a dog person.
She's not the best, but I still love her. Okay, so Y'shtola did get a rework along with her LD and Burst. So, her rework did bring some changes to her kit. What they did was they changed her skill 1 and skill 2, so they're different. They work pretty differently now. So, skill 1 now has overflow on both its brave gain, more overflow on its brave attacks. It's more brave attacks now. It batteries the party after the HP hit. So it does all of that. Keep that in mind. So it's a much bigger hit, is basically what happens. It's still high turn rate and all that fun stuff, and it's still earth attacks. So stone is still earth attacks. It's still high turn rate, all that fun stuff. Medica is now a free turn, which means it does not increase turn count when it is used. It still does all the fun stuff, but now it also heals the party based on 20% of their max health. So, it's been called Medica 2 since the game started. It now actually provides healing like you would expect a white mage with Medica to actually do. So yay, she now actually does provide healing on that ability. The third thing she got was her LD, which provides Scion's Holy. It also gives her a new mechanic that's based on Final Fantasy XIV called Blood Lily. Let me talk about the LD ability, Scion's Holy, first, because it's very simple, and then we'll talk about what Blood Lily gives her. Scion's Holy is a very simple ability. It's an AoE Brave plus HP attack that starts with an Unbreak on all enemies, provides party battery, then it's an AoE Brave plus HP attack that does full damage to all targets. Now what Blood Lily does is that it gives Y'shtola a new Brave plus ability called Scion's Arrow 2. Scion's Arrow 2 is an AoE Brave plus HP attack. It gives her Brave back based on HP damage dealt. This will become a better ability once she gets to 3 stacks of Blood Lily, called Afflatus Misery, which is basically same thing, except it's multiple AoE Brave plus HP attacks. It's basically AoE Brave plus HP executed 3 times. With HP regain after each HP dump. And then she loses the stacks and she goes back to 0. I'll talk about Blood Lily now. So she gets Blood Lily. She starts at 0 Blood Lily stacks, but she always has the Blood Lily frame. She never loses it. It's always there. She builds stacks every time she recovers Braver HP, which means basically whenever she uses an ability, she does this because all of her abilities cause her to recover Brave or HP. So every turn she basically gains a stack. So every 3 turns, 3 ability uses, she can use Afflatus Misery, a Brave plus plus. The other thing it does is it also improves her party attack aura by 25%, so she provides a little bit more party attack. Increases it from the previous 40% to 65%. So it's a nice little boost to her party auras. And other than that, that's all she got. She has an LD ability, which is basically a button she can push to unbreak enemies and do a big party hit. She still has her big EX button that's basically a get out of jail button, because it revives the whole party. It restores them to basically full health. It recovers ability uses of skill 1 and skill 2. She now has the ability to heal outside of that with skill 2. She has a high turn rate skill 1 that delays targets. She has an AoE Brave attack on her Brave Plus. She has a single target Brave dump on her HP plus that also batteries her allies. She has a lot of things she can do now. In general, with my experimentation with her, she's been a lot of fun to experiment with. Whether she will turn out to be the best, I don't know. She still has a lot of quirks to her. She's tied to a couple different elements. She's tied to quirky elements, with stone being earth element, and the rest of her kit not being element tied. So yeah, there's iffy stuff there. Just be careful with the earth element stone plus. It can be to your benefit. It can also be to your downside. Oh, the last thing I forgot was the burst attack. The burst effect is 6 turns. While a party member has their current brave being higher than their int brave, their attack is increased, their stolen overflows increased, their HP damage dealt increased, and their brave damage limits increased. I think I got that right.
Yeah.
So 6 turn thing, you just got to be careful that Ishtil doesn't accidentally burn through this too quickly by using stone or using pulse of life, because those are very fast abilities. So just be careful of that. But other than that, 6 turn burst for a pretty strong effect that affects her allies. And again, because she provides so much brave to the party, she can keep this up pretty effectively. Especially, again, she can do that pretty well, especially because she can just dump Medica if she needs to. She can do HP plus to help. Those are ways to do it. So she is a pretty solid character, in my opinion. I haven't had a huge amount of time to play with her, but she is as fun as I remember her to be. So I'll pass it over to Arrow, see what her thoughts are, and see if she has any other opinions.
Ooh, I gotta be honest, guys. You know how there was that whole Fight Back in Chaos era about picking Rim or Ishtola? I went with Rim, so I'm Team Rim. Just throwing that out there. So I've never really used Ishtola all that much, but I think this rework's pretty good. I find the LD not all that exciting personally, but I think it's an okay LD. It's just not for me. I wanted to point out that the Medica no longer adding the turn count thing is huge. So if you're like not sure what to do with your Ishtola on her turn, you can just Medica. I mean, it heals, it batteries, you can't go wrong with that. It's a pretty big fat battery too, so that's always been really nice. Her battle longevity is just absolutely insane because of that whole EX recharging skill, each of her skills. So she can just kind of spam pretty much the whole fight now. I think she's a great character for beginners still, because that whole revive mechanic. And we've been playing around with, I think, the reviving in Lufenia, and I think it still tanks scores, right, Mark?
So, we can talk a little bit more about that in Lufenia, but I mean, depending on the boss fight, you can revive. This boss fight, the score is based on the boss total health. This boss has a ton of health. The tentacle monsters. So
let's put it this way. I cleared this Lufenia with 20 turns over count just before we started, revived 2 or 3 times, and still made the score requirement by a decent margin.
Okay.
So
I revived.
It's not taking your score as hard as it used to if it is taking your score.
I revived 3 times.
Let me jump in. It's this particular fight with how tanky they are, and the turn requirement, because the formula is always how much HP damage you deal to the enemies, and then something like divided by your turn count or something. That's the really simplified version, but basically, we tested it in some other fights. It revives still tank your score. It's just this particular fight. If you can do, if you can kill them in 80 turns, your score is just fucking astronomical. Plus, most people like to run launch calls and stuff.
Yeah. So there are going to be fights where you can revive, and in the future you will be able to. I think with what Rosa's LD, reviving becomes just a thing that doesn't tank your score anymore. But there are certain fights, because of the short turn count requirement and the health of the boss, that you can revive a couple times. It's not going to be an issue. And I think that's what this fight was anticipating you would do, just the way the Steam counts attack you, and we'll talk about that in a minute. A thing that's been bugging me, and it came up in chat here, it doesn't matter, but break, re-break, unbreak, in the game, Defo, that we play, break is a status. And so enemies can be afflicted with break, and characters can be afflicted with break. So an ability like Y'shtola cancels the break status.
Yep.
Doesn't re-break. She then does brave hits, which, if they are not absorbed, will do damage and will then re-afflict break, because brave afflicts break. So again, it doesn't matter, but that's the technical language in the game for thinking about how break works. Break is a status that you can afflict or cancel. Whatever. But yeah, Y'shtola is... she obviously got a little bit of help. She's much smoother to play now that Medica is a much, much more useful button. Obviously, Stone is doing the same thing. Her EX is fine. Her LD, being able to cancel break and then doing a fairly amount good damage, is fine. Really, what the LD is providing is that overhead buff, which also allows you to do that cool Brave Plus attack, which is kind of nice. She's not terrible. Her auras are not as strong as some other, like SERAH now, like Aerith. So her auras are not as strong. Her healing is fairly strong. Of course, she's competing with Aerith for burst healing. And so Aerith's really good on the burst healing as well. But she does have a little bit of different utility. I'm not a big fan of until we get to Burst Plus, when you can use her Burst Plus and as a burst effect. So if you're not familiar with Burst Plus, you can basically use the burst effect as itself. So you don't go into a burst phase. You can use multiple Burst Pluses, and that grants you the burst effect. So for a character like Y'shtola, generally speaking, outside of Synergy and even probably within Synergy, you're not going to want to go into burst phase with Y'shtola if you have other burst characters to bring, because she's really a support character. She's not there to do massive damage. But I mean, it's not the worst burst phase in the world, but you're probably going to want a damage dealing burst. But when you have her burst plus, then you're going to be able to use that, and her burst effect is really cool. It actually gets better. Her burst plus actually gives her an LD board rework, I believe, as well. So she does get another tuning pass. So for an investment, you're going to use her through this cycle. She's going to be another character to have in your arsenal moving forward. She's another healer. She's another battery character. You can always have more of those. But then she's going to come back in the burst plus phase and be really good. So if you can pick her up now, great. If not, she's going to come back later. But obviously, if she's a character that you like, pick her up now, use her as much as you can, and you're going to get another really, really good character in the future. So I think that's a fair. But somebody's saying any opinion for an E-Sphere. She does hone in for attack. She does like attack these days. So I would use the attack spheres for an E-Sphere. What are her spheres?
I think they're ACE.
Oh yeah, it is CCE. So the
CCE,
the Yuffie sphere. She can only throw debuffs on stone. Okay, that's a good. I hear what you're saying on that. That's an interesting.
I think the Tonberry Troupe had some recommendations. I can check that for you guys.
Seymour Emperor Yuffie. But she can only trigger this one debuffing. So if enemies resist her defense down, she can never proc it. So, yeah, it's not a sure thing. But yes, we have to get Seymour again someday. But I mean, if you build a whole bunch of Yuffies and you're going to use her anyway, it might not be bad. Or you can go crazy and get a what's Fujin proc on? I mean, you could consider using a Fujin. Fujin is available right now as well. We're going to talk about that in a second, but that might not be a terrible idea to put Fujin on there, because that's not a terrible aura, and she should be able to proc that with her attacks. So she should be able to do a crit, especially with her Brave Plus. So she's fine, but probably nothing to write home about. If you're not a fan, if you're not interested, if you picked up Aerith, she's definitely a character you can skip. If you like her, then there you go. John Belmont saying with her stone delays. I don't think it's a bad idea, especially with a refined sphere. Play around with it, see what you think. But it might proc a little bit more easily than her Camelot sphere. Vyrite, remind me what Camelot sphere does. I'm not thinking off the top of my head what Camelot sphere.
I don't remember either.
I'll have to look it up here. What Camelot sphere does. Camelot refined sphere, or just Camelot? Does he have a refined sphere that you can use?
It says here on the website the basic E sphere. I'm not talking about refined. I don't remember if he has refined. I don't care. When inflicting or attacking target afflicted with break while own HP is at max, it'll inflict attack down 30% on the regular sphere. So it should be like 12%, I think, on the refine.
But right, I mean, in terms of spheres that you can get right now, if Yuffie's still available and Fujin still available, refined spheres, Fujin is available. Not terrible spheres. So not bad, not bad at all. Well, let's talk about the There's co-ops. This is a collaborative co-op event, so you get points and do that. But there is also a shop, and there are refined spheres as well.
It's also a slog of the shop because there's a lot of high.
Yeah, a lot of crystals.
It's not the high crystals. It's the high.
Oh, the
high clusters.
Right.
High clusters in the shop this time around.
There's a lot of them. You are correct. There are also some refined spheres. It's not the best. You can go to Dissidia Info, Macnol's website. Nibelung does these refined sphere guides really nice. This is not the best refined sphere set. You might want to pick up a couple Fujins. So, check out Fujin. Maybe pick up a couple of them. That does speed down. Other than that, these are not, great spheres to write home on. So write home about. So you can check out more information on that. Oh, there's a weapon gloss, Daniel's saying. Oh, Lord. All right. Well, let me go home. I'm on screen here. Let's see if there's a costume and there's a weapon gloss. See how much this is going to cost me. Let's see how much this is going to cost me. I didn't get a prompt here. Limited time SERAH costume. Yep. Here we go. It's her what would you call this? Fabulous wardrobe dress. I don't know. Just her Final Fantasy 10 or Final Fantasy 13-2 costume. Somebody who's telling me school outfit. Yeah, the weapon gloss and costume were there in JP, right? Oh, were they at the same time? That's interesting. I didn't realize that they had these with the launch. And this is the hibiscus bow. It is a flowered bow weapon gloss. So that is available. Apparently these are not new to GL. But the SERAH schoolgirl outfit, I guess we'll call that, if somebody is a fan of 13-2 and wants to give me a better name for that, fine. But she seems to be, I'm not even sure what her normal sprite looks like, to tell you the truth.
I think that's her,
That's her FF13 outfit, ain't it?
Yeah, I think that's her FF13 outfit.
Oh, okay, so this is her, so her in-game outfit is her Final Fantasy 13-2 outfit. This would be her Final Fantasy 13 outfit. I think you're correct. I think that looks great. There does not appear to be any content. People are asking. Just a banner and a Spring Festival draw. And then, yes, the hibiscus bow is a bow weapon that has flowers on it. It's very pretty.
It is.
Arrow, you're going to get it? You're going to get this one?
About it. Oh my gosh, I really love it.
I get all of them.
I love bow wielders, and Trey is coming very, very soon. I think
it
will be
Mino,
on him.
Mino Spellgood. Hold on. We need to have a moment of silence because Mino Spellgood fell under 1.25 million gems. We should just have a moment of silence for Mino. What you got it in the free pull, or what it cost you 5,000. Hey, so let's talk about this Lufenia, and then we'll pull for SERAH, I guess, and maybe answer some questions. You fight 2 count steams. I hate them. They're stupid. They're the worst.
They're awful.
They're the Deuce event. They're super fast. They're super dumb. They do tons of damage. I hate them. They have top hats. That's actually their best quality, is the top hat. Their orb appears at 79%. It has a 25 count. It gets +5 every time you heal for more than 50% of your HP from a skill. So Medica, so Y'shtola EX, so Aerith Burst Healing, that kind of stuff. The boss ignores HP damage reduction and HP nullification effects on their Brave plus HP attacks. So, yep, sorry, damage mitigation. That hurts. After they do an all or area of effect Brave plus HP attack, they gain 70,000 or so Brave, depending on your debuffs. At 79% of their health and 49% of their health, they delay themselves, cleanse all their debuffs, including frames, become immune to all forms of delay and turn delete, and immune to all debuffs. That sucks. This effect ends when they use their first attack, multi-slash plus, but they may kill you twice. Multi-slash plus targets the enemy or targets the character with the most HP. And so they will target the character with the highest HP, and then they will target the character with the second highest HP if they kill that character, which is great if you have 3 characters with Last Stand, because then they'll do the one with the highest HP, and then the one with Last Stand will be safe. But if you don't, then they will kill the second character.
Yep.
It also ignores HP damage reduction, but it can be tanked and it can be evaded. It is not an instant hit. So the major ways to deal with this are Last Stand. So Aerith, Y'shtola, 8 can dodge it. There's several other characters that have Last Stand. Vivi has Last Stand. Vivi's like champ in this fight for multiple different reasons. So you can do that. So you can Last Stand. Y'shtola and Aerith can resurrect a dead character, so you can do that and be fine. You can HP silence, I believe, or terror maybe. I think Mino took Y'shtola, but people are using People are using Arciella on this as well. You really can't delay them to death. That's not been a thing, but Paladin Cecil has Last Stand as well. So there's a lot of people, and Celeste can tank a lot of their magic attacks, and she has Last Stand as well. So Celeste, Paladin Cecil, Aerith, Y'shtola, Vivi, all Last Stand characters. You will see lots of them. There's some launch mechanics going on in here, but you're not going to use a full launch team, I don't think. I didn't use any of the synergy characters, even though I have them all. I used Squall, Aerith, and Celeste with a Paladin Cecil friend for his burst effect. So Squall was doing like near 3 million damage on his burst phase. That was great. And I resurrected Squall 3 times. I revived Squall 3 times. So I cleared it and fine. Paladin Cecil does not have Last Stand. I apologize. I was thinking he did. Arrow, how did you approach this?
I did double Last Stand. I had the Celeste and Aerith duo, and then I brought Furion for the third. Man, I was hitting so great on those off-turn damages. So I also learned that the order of traps goes by application order. So if, for example, you were to in my team, if you were to apply Drain Weapon first, it would always trigger first on the enemy, and then Celeste's would follow up with her Magitech Ice Block. So yes,
that's interesting.
That's something I learned. So I just thought I'd share because I thought it was pretty cool. And I did actually try running Guy in Celeste's place, but the HP on these guys is just so massive. Like I would have to have burst to win, and I'm kind of done a lot of videos with burst recently, so that's the only reason kind of why I didn't record.
I think talking about Guy, Macheleno, our friend and fellow streamer Macheleno, did Guy, Ultimisha, and Aerith. That was his run.
Yes,
so
you need the free turns. I would agree with that. But Guy's very good here. If you have somebody with a lot of free turns you can abuse, or maybe Emperor could work with off-turn damage.
Yeah, Emperor was also used. And again, you can go to DissidiaFFOO.com, Macnol's Call to Arms. There's all kinds of it's currently about 60 runs. Mm-hmm. The most used characters right now. The top 3 characters are neither of the LDs. Aerith, Paladin Cecil, and Celeste are the top 3 characters. Y'shtola is 4, Squall, and 8. 8 is actually really great on this event. Lightning, Cloud. Poor Kuja. You can bring Kuja to this. There are several Kuja runs, but he's way down on the list. His damage output compared to some of the other characters is just not as intense. So, yeah, poor thing.
I did have some other stuff to mention. So you can't lower the HP damage you take, like by a buff or auras or anything like that. But you can lower your Brave damage taken. So on the Steam Burst Plus, this is actually very important to note. So if you are using somebody like Hope or Celeste or Guy, anyone who can just lower your Brave damage taken, that does technically lower the amount of HP damage you're taking too. They just can't reduce the HP damage further, but you can reduce the Brave damage taken through the attack. So that might help you from getting broken and having somebody die. If you're also having problems keeping characters alive, you can consider Alexander's Summon. Maybe that little extra 15% HP may do a lot for you. So, and of course, you can easily make the bosses weak to Holy depending on the calls you bring, especially if you bring something like Kuja's Call or Sayador or Paladin Cecil. I think he also applies a Holy resist down. So those are my thoughts. I'm going to pass it over. I think Kreese did actually, you have fought in this Lufenia.
I have done it. I cleared it. I have not gotten the complete yet.
You want to share your thoughts?
Yeah. This fight is a big, miserable soak fest. The bosses are pains in the butts because they just have so much health, and because you really can't get around the fact that they are going to kill someone unless you bring someone who has Last Stand, is what I learned. The way I got around it was Last Stand and Revive. The way I was originally trying to do it was I was trying to use Y'shtola to revive. I was trying to have Y'shtola take one of them last stand and then just revive whoever else was killed. And that wasn't working out because Y'shtola just wasn't reviving everyone fast enough for these monsters that are just so freaking fast. So I had to switch to using Aerith for her revives. And also switching to more last stands. Once I switched to a double last stand party, having Celeste and Aerith in the party, that helped a lot. With just getting through this without having so many problematic issues of people just dying so frequently. So the party I got the clear with, which as I said was the problem was I was just way over the turn count, was Paladin Cecil, Aerith, and Celeste. And I just need to get my turn count down. So I'll work on that over the weekend.
Evil Kong is asking, how many times can you revive and keep score? Well, at least I did it 3 times, and I did not use any launch. So that's something.
I revived 3 times. I think I got a couple of launches off just because I built up chase units throughout the fight. They are beefy little monsters. So yeah, I did get that.
Kmart saying someone on Reddit said they failed scores with 4 revives. So I was using Aerith, and I used 3 of her skill 2s on Squall. And then I kept wondering, why is Squall only at 1 stack of his LD buff? Oh, because he keeps dying. That is why. Why he's dead. He reverts to 1 stack when he do they have a power that can read? No, he's dead, Mark. That's why he's doing that, because he's no longer alive. Well, hey, let's look at the podcast polls for these 2 banners. We got one coming up, and for Y'shtola, we had this is of course MateriaBot. Quetzalma for MateriaBot. Thank you for doing this. J.A also helps out with this. Appreciate that. Among 12 servers, 16 people willing to pity the BT on Y'shtola's banner. Wow. Obviously, people planning ahead for that BT+. 55 pitying the LD, 20 gems, 141 tickets, 21 skipping. I think, again, that is really based on the fact that we know Y'shtola gets one of the first BT pluses along with Zidane. Zidane gets a new BT and BT plus. Y'shtola is the second BT plus on that cycle. So obviously that changed a lot. And you could guess most people are skipping the Kuja. 2 willing to pity Y'shtola's BT on that. Interesting. 3 LD pity, 14 tickets, and 224 skipping across 12 banners. And as of right now, well, let me change this here. This has not been updated, so this will be interesting. As we were recording tonight, the SERAH banner was going to be 1 person pitying the BT, 14 pitying the LD, 28 tickets, and 71 skipping on 7 banners. I'm going to guess that is going to be a lot higher. So, yeah. That's going to be a lot higher because it's something new and shiny, and we really enjoy that. So, where were we? Hey, Chris, I'm going to pull. I don't know if the 2 of you have been pulling on SERAH.
I have been pulling. I just got Sarah's LD and Y'shtola's BT, but it took me about
awesome.
700 tickets.
Cool. Well, that's a lot, but yeah, who cares?
I totally pulled too, and I was very lucky. 160 tickets, got an AFMount EX on the free pool. Guys, I did not have AFMount EX. I am very excited to have 1 more EX less to collect. Thumbs up.
Well, Chris, do you want to take us through some podcast questions?
Sure. Since I am done polling, I can do that.
Great.
Wait, I got pinged on the server.
That was me.
Oh, that was you.
I'm back.
Yep. Sorry, I was polling. Okay, this is a little old. We are a couple weeks behind on questions, but we'll do it. Some Call Me Brian asks, when you did the trivia question from the Magic Pots, which FF titles was your knowledge the weakest on? I'm trying to remember for myself. I think I was the weakest on... I don't think I was necessarily weak on any of the questions. Some of them were worded weirdly enough that I got tripped up by them. Like they were trick questions is the best way I put it. Was with their wording. So I got them wrong because of the way they were structured. Like I think I got one of the FF12 ones wrong, or one of the FF10 ones wrong, just because of the way it was worded. Not necessarily because I didn't know the lore.
Yeah,
of the games, just because of the way it was worded.
The pain question. There was a question about, was pain part of the gull wings, or it was. Oh, hey, Sarah LD.
Because was she part of YRP? She traveled as part of YRP, but it was supposed to be that she's part of the Gull Wings. Yeah, that tripped me up.
Zerilius is saying, is Garland the final boss in Final Fantasy 1? Question was kind of ridiculous, too. So, yeah.
I mean, he isn't. It's Chaos, but Garland is Chaos, so it's another trick question type of thing. So, yeah, there were trick questions like that tripped me up.
So, yeah, I agree. I think Arrow, did you have any ones that were
any of the FF14 ones? Because I didn't know jack dingling about that game. I don't play MMOs, guys. I get easily addicted. I think I've talked about that before.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that I kept getting asked about Alize. There was one about was she what class is she? And I looked it up because I didn't know.
Red Mage.
And I know that, but it asked if she was an Arcanist. But then, on the profile, it says she's Arcanist. And I'm like, okay. So, I know you guys are probably laughing at me, but, I honestly just didn't remember her class. And I felt so stupid because I felt like it was, supposed to be an easy question. And here I am getting the easy question wrong. So, the FF14, any of those lore questions, I had to look them up because I honestly...
Mino and I... I'm sorry I'm laughing at you. So Mino and I have had arguments on the podcast about Alice being terrible because she copied the Red Mage style too well into this game.
Yeah, so I wasted. Evil Kong was asking how many tickets was that. That was 20 tickets, and I wasted 4. If you sort by obtained, because Mino hates 10 ticket polls. So if you sort by obtained, you can see how many tickets you wasted by doing a 10 poll. I wasted 4 tickets. So
Mark,
those are...
don't forget to count armors.
Oh, sorry.
You get armors in that poll. Yeah, so I'm saying at least 6 tickets, 4. But there might have been silver and bronze armor.
Yeah, how would I know though? You can't even tell armor.
Memory.
Though.
Your well, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah, you can't tell how many. Can't tell how many because they're not sorted.
Your memory.
Yes, my memory of the thing that didn't happen. So, yeah. Next question.
Sid Keynes asks, any BT you got without actively chasing and or wanting that exceeded your expectations of how good or bad it was? I mean, I got Kefka. I actually got 2 copies of Kefka's BT without actively wanting it or trying to get it, and I barely used it at all. It was completely underwhelming for me. So I guess that counts, as an answer to that one. I just didn't care for it at all. So I guess I'm going to take that as my answer. Arrow, do you have an answer for this?
Wait, what was the question again?
Any BT you got without actively chasing and or wanting that exceeded your expectations of how good or bad it was?
Arden totally lived up to all of its hype that everybody gave it. But I didn't know it was going to be that good. I did not chase for it. I happened to get it on my free pool and then got paid money to go chase the LD. And so I did. And EX, and yeah, no regretty spaghetti. He was really good. Definitely a great character through the Hell Month Lufenia. I don't know if I would have made it through without him or Lightning. So, yay, thanks, Arden. You're a cool guy just for that alone. I know nothing else about you, though.
Ollie Bolko is mentioning Shintaro BT, and that was my first BT. I didn't actively go for it, but having it early on was a huge boon for me. I will mention that.
So Evil Kong is saying, I have a question. So let's say you have a bad banner, like, for example, the Trey banner. You had to pity Kistis and Trey EX from before. How do you change your luck now? Just gem if you want Trey LD, or just skip? I'm not 100% sure I know what you're asking, but I mean, if all you're looking for is an LD on a banner, then, I mean, if you really want it, you use gems. If you are okay not having it, then you use tickets. So, I mean, that's technically best case scenario is you already have the EXs, so you don't need to chase the EX and the LD. So, I mean, I that's not a bad thing.
Let me take a crack at this, Mark. I think you're right. I think he's asking, correct us, Evil Kong. Are you asking, like, what do you do if there's only one weapon that you want to chase? Like, say, you got everything on Trey last time, and now it's just the Trey LD you're after? That's how I'm reading the question. But if that's the case, I agree with Mark, right? Like, if I think gemming is better for chasing a single weapon because your chances are higher on the +1 pull. Whereas if you were missing his whole kit, tickets are good because you can, pick up his lower stuff on the way there.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, right? Yeah, but with your luck on that banner, you probably just use 75,000. Well, Evil, I mean, it's going to get worse moving forward because there's going to be 2 LD banners. And so if you already have one of those LDs, then the reality is there's going to be a lot more potential to pity in the 2 LD era. That's why picking up Yish's LD now is not a bad idea. Because when you have to chase an LD on a double LD banner, yes, you might have the chance of getting 2 LDs you don't have, or you may get 6 copies of 1 LD you do have and not one that you don't have. So it's really, there's benefits to it. Like, for example, Garland, on Garland cycle, Desh gets his LC. I didn't pick up Desh. He's one of the few LDs I don't have, and he comes back with Yang. So there's 2 LDs I don't have. Hopefully I'll pick them both up. I use gems. Hopefully I'll pick both of them up. But if I don't get both of them up and I use gems, I've got to choose. Who do I want, Desh or Yang? It's Yang. That's not an issue at all. It's definitely Yang for that. But yeah, I mean, those are questions you're going to have to deal with, moving forward. So, yeah, same rates. Yep. You just have twice the chance of getting an LD. But, the issue, Drez, is, the way RNG works, you can end up getting the one thing you don't want over and over and over again. It's like chasing one EX, right? You're, on a 3 EX banner. Yeah, hopefully you'll get it, but, sometimes it doesn't. No, it doesn't lower your rates of getting it at all. But in practice, it can suck real bad. That's what I'm saying.
Sorry to supplement, Mark. I'm butting in too much today, but what Drez, the concern is that some people are saying, "Oh, I really want Trey," but he's also coming back on, say, what was eject? Yeah, he's also coming back on Arden BT Plus, and I don't have Arden,
right. So
I'll just wait for that banner to pick up both. No, that's when you're going to be spending more resources. If you're just after the one weapon, you're like, oh, I kind of want Trey, but I'm actually really after Arden. So I'm going to gun for Arden. I have a chance to pick up Trey. That's the good way to do it. But if it's like, no, I really want both, well, then you're not using Trey in his prime. And then you're risking hitting pity without getting that one as well. And then going even deeper. So you don't want to chase banners where you want both weapons on it. It's like people were talking about Leon and Jack or something. Like, these are bad. Just get the weapon. The earlier you get the weapon, the better, if you actually want to use it.
Yeah. Oh, Crease, is there another question?
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for us to finish. Let me delete this one.
Yeah, Trey is good. We'll talk about Trey next week, but Trey's good.
We can answer this one. Daniel Joy for Sarah asks, do you think the pandemic and the lockdowns played a part in the rise of the global DFFOO player base? How much has the player base changed? I guess I've been so disconnected from the total player base that I'm not really sure how much it has grown or changed over the past year. Has it grown that much?
I don't have any idea. I mean, we've obviously added to our community over the last year, so yeah, does that mean we've grown as a total community? I mean, yeah, maybe, I guess, using that sample size. I mean, all of our friends who are content creators have grown over this last year. So, I mean, I guess the global community has grown based, again, on that anecdotal evidence, which isn't evidence at all. I don't think Joshua's here to answer us. They don't often give out that kind of data.
He's already pieced out.
But yeah, I assume, people are locked up trying to figure out what to do, and why not download a game on your phone? And although I would think console gaming and PC gaming, console gaming and PC gaming would be more so than mobile gaming. Jovial Roger, I apologize, I did not see you.
Missed it.
I did not see you.
We'll jump back to that in a sec, Jovial Roger.
Yep. Yes, we will do that. I apologize, I didn't see. Usually that highlights for me. That did not highlight for me for some reason. But yeah, Arrow, any thoughts on that?
No, not really on this one. Yeah, I'm kind of distracted at the moment. I'm sorry, guys.
All right, Arrow's distracted. So Jovial Roger asks, thank you for using your Q&A points. I was going to pity Y'shtola BT, and just FYI, yeah, if you do that and we don't notice it, just add us. Make sure we know. I was going to pity Y'shtola BT on Trey. Is SERAH better to spend gems on with her improvements? Whew. Yeah, that's So, I mean, I guess it depends on what you want. SERAH's going to be providing a lot of party support versus Trey, who is providing damage. So Trey's a excellent damage dealer. SERAH seems like a fairly decent battery support character. We don't know in practice. But, you might want to you might just want to throw tickets on one, gems on the other. If you're going to chase the BT, again, I wouldn't encourage anyone to chase a BT ever. But if you are going to chase a BT, it also depends on, is there EXs you're missing? Because if you have Trey's EX and you don't have SERAH's EX, then maybe you use gems on the banner that you're missing the EX on, so you can get that. Of course, hopefully you have some EX tokens, so that's not an issue. Kreese, any thoughts about that?
I think it'll depend on which character you're more interested in collecting. If you're really torn between the two of them, Trey or SERAH, and you do not want to spend resources on both, think about which character you want more and go for that one, is what I will say. If you're dead set on pitying Y'shtola's BT and you're only going to spend resources on one of these banners, pick the one you're more interested in. For your own roster right now, do you need a Aura bot support, or do you need a damage dealer? And I think that'll give you your better answer for this cycle.
Long Shot Johnson says, what happened to Mark's rule, global first equal pity? The rule has never been global first LD board rework equals pity. Because that would have meant Eldnarsh was a pity, and I certainly wasn't going to throw Eldnarsh as a global first pity. Yeah, how is Eldnarsh working out for you?
I have cleared all content since he's been out.
You have, and how?
I'll see how far I can take it.
And is that enjoyable? Are you having a good time doing that?
No. But I want to take a crack at Joe. Oh, but Kreese, you had more to say.
Jovial Roger is saying part of the temptation is the current Lufenia. I mean, SERAH will be good for this, but remember that she will lose her Brave and HP amplifications at a couple points during the fight when they get there.
Because they don't, they cleanse their debuffs.
They cleanse and become immune to debuffs until they do their multi-slash pluses, so keep that in mind.
I'm not sure Trey or SERAH are going to be great helps for this particular fight.
Trey will be because of the off-turn damage.
Okay.
Oh my god!
And don't forget that two of his 3 traps are overhead buffs that can't be cleansed.
Oh, that's right. They're overhead buffs.
Yeah,
you're right.
I was going to say, I want to take
Trey
a
will
shot
be
at
fine.
Jovial's. I can go way more in depth in that, yeah.
And he has that break thing. So when they do the Steam Burst Plus, if they have that Elden EX debuff on, they'll instant break if he has a trap too. Or at least the next character who goes can just attack and break the 70k brave that they gain or whatever, that ridiculous number they have.
Trey,
so, very useful.
Trey will be fine. Sarah will have problems because she will just lose a huge chunk of her auras for several turns during the fight at a couple points.
Yeah. So let me take a crack at this. So, what does your roster need? Because I can tell you specifically what these characters bring. Because, as they said, Sarah is a big aura bot. It's more general, but we also have a lot of aura bots up right now. RCL is already gone, can do almost as good a job, but Aerith is still here, who can do almost as good a job as well. Trey offers a lot more than just damage. It's a lot of insta-breaks. It's uncleansable traps. He punishes enemies for moving too fast, which the squids do, and he rewards your party for taking consecutive turns as well, because his dynamite goes off, on any action, I believe.
Right.
So yeah, so
he's slow though. Oh man, is he slow? But you can play around with that.
Right. You play around it. So the thing is, his off turn is big. Do you have instant breakers? Because if not, he's one of the best. If you need trap off turn damage, he's one of the best. So he is a huge pickup. But again, it's what do you need more? Fat auras or specifically off turn and insta breaking? I will say that fat auras are more replaceable, and we do see a bunch. There was Pestle as well. But insta breaking is if you have one, you're good, right? Like Gabranth people are using a lot of Gabranth recently, or Strago still sees use from time to time. And who else is a big insta breaker? Ramza, right? Mm-hmm. So they all have alternatives.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't know. And then there's the other thing with Trey being off turn damage like he is. He's very good for boss rushes. So if you're lacking characters like that have that off turn enemy phase type of damage, Trey is good for that. And he will be good, I think, probably for the next couple of boss rushes, no doubt. So especially this upcoming one because he's going to be boosted. Yay! So something else to think about.
Jovial said, I've got both aura bots and insta breaks. Then pick the one you like best. The playstyle you like better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it really comes down to playstyle choices. I just think after having Trey from before, he is an excellent character, and he's very, very, very fun to play around. Like, there's just so many strategies you can build around Trey, and it's just such a joy. Not a lot of characters quite play like he does. And this is considering there are other off-turn damage characters. It's just very different with Trey, and it feels really fun and good to do.
All right. Let's do one more crease, and then we'll head into the post show.
Okay.
Yeah, Pearson. Sarah has a GL rework.
So
you are late to the show.
Mistleton asks, do the hosts still get power stones from the points shop?
That is a great this is a great question, by the way.
Great.
This
is
an excellent
how I use my Dissidia points.
This is an excellent question.
The answer is yes, I still do, despite the fact I'm well over 300 power stones. So yes, I do.
No, I have stopped.
No, I've just been in default mode with that. I probably shouldn't be, but I am.
I have stopped getting power stones. I don't need them.
I've stopped after reading this question.
Yeah, me too.
Because I realized, I was like, why am I dropping 900?
Why?
Dissidia points. Because I was like, oh man, I want to collect all the voice lines, but at the rate we're going, so if you get 300 a day, and so that's 2,100 a week, and almost half of that. No. The majority of that is going to the extra hunt and the power stone. I'm only picking up maybe 2 or 3 voice lines a week. You get some from events and stuff too. And I was like, man, at this rate, it's going to take me literal years to do it. And then I realized, why do I need power stones? I was like, if I just spend everything on voice lines, I could be done in under a year. And that's what I started doing, because it was a bad habit. Power stones are damn plentiful now.
Yep.
Hey, before we leave, we do have a TCC challenge. Macnell, of course, has been got some real life stuff and busy with work, but had some time with our group to come up with a TCC challenge for terrible mechanical tentacles. And we're going to ban Aerith, SERAH, and Y'shtola. That is the TCC challenge. Banning Aerith, SERAH, and Y'shtola and their calls. And if you want to do the extreme challenge, also ban Cecil. So as a call and in the team, but not as friends. You can use Aerith, SERAH, Y'shtola, and Cecil friend. No burst phase. So it is possible. I think there are already some folks who have cleared it. But if you hate your life and you love tentacle monsters manipulating you in ungodly ways, SERAH, Aerith, Y'shtola, no burst phase. Add Paladin Cecil to that for the extreme. There we go. So, so we banned SERAH. I think it's hilarious.
Not banning 8? No, go for it.
Use
real,
8. Yep.
The real challenge is covering the orb without Aerith and Y'shtola.
Without Aerith and Y'shtola. Good
then
luck.
You actually have to measure out your heals instead of spamming it whenever you like. And the damage is also rough too, because for example, a lot of people wanted us to ban Celeste because they're like, oh, her off-turn damage is actually insane for this fight. She's one of the most used characters because she's so good at countering this fight. Well, then we said, okay, try it using her without Aerith and Y'shtola battering and auraing her, and it was a world of difference. So yeah, these characters you think are strong, if you've done TCC challenges before, you'll know removing 1 or 2 key characters changes the fight completely.
It sure does. Mm-hmm. What was I going to say? Yes, J.A says we need Power Stones because we don't sell our LDs. That is 100%.
You're still doing that?
You do not need. You have to get Power Stones because you don't sell any of your weapons, including LDs. How do you know which LDs you have if you sell them?
Oh my
There's
God.
An icon. Well, that's how you just look through them and you're like, oh, okay. You forget, oh, I got Gao's LD. Great. That's good to know for future content. Tracker. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a way to do it, obviously. Hey, well, this has been episode 148 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded April 15, 2021. Stick around for the post show if you're live with us on Twitch. We come live every 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time on Twitch at the Crystal Chronicles, tccpodcast.com for all the links to our social media, including our Discord. Join our Discord. Please sub, ring the bell for notifications. Give us a like and a follow and a sub on Twitch, and rate us on your favorite podcast app. That helps get the information out there. For Arrow, Crease, Mino Spellgood, and Mark, thank you all. Best of luck on your SERAH polls, because I know you're not going to wait till next week till we give you in-depth review. So I hope you get to spend as little as I did, and you get SERAH and give us your input there. We'll talk to you all next week with Waka Fun, and if you want me to pull on Waka, you better put some money on the table. And we'll do that live next week. Until then, friends, goodbye.